Yo guys, welcome back to my channel. If you've not done already, click the subscribe button and follow me across all my social media platforms. Links are in the description box below, and it's also at the bottom banner. Hopefully everybody is all good. We had a little bit of breaking news earlier today. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about a little bit of hot topics in the sport of boxing, some breakups, shall we say, some little disappointing news, and also some fight announcements. So if you haven't done already, subscribe to Off the Canvas Boxing YouTube channel. We're trying to get to, well, the next milestone, wherever that is. I think it's about 1K. So if you can smash our like button, that will be absolutely remarkable. First and foremost, before we get straight into it, first things first, we have to talk about the news. We have to talk about the big one, okay? Anthony, AJ, Oluwafemi Joshua will be boxing on April Fools. And that's not a joke, it's for real. He'll be boxing Jermaine Franklin, April Fool's Day, in London, in the O2. How do I feel about this fight overall? For me, it's a decent fight. Okay, I wouldn't say it's something that I really was hoping AJ would fight, but it was a half decent fight. The names that were touted about was some Australian heavyweight that was, I don't even know who this guy is, and I know a couple of heavyweights, and I don't even know who this guy is. I have to look him up. So if I have to look up a heavyweight, and you're a former world champion, you're a top 3, top 4 heavyweight, it's a bit of an issue. So now he's fighting the Jermaine Franklin. Jermaine Franklin is a former opponent of Dillian White, coming off a recent loss, but a controversial loss nonetheless. So for me personally, is this a good fight? I would prefer it to be someone a little bit better, but then again, it's the same sort of outcomes. For me, I want Alien to fight 3 times this year. One against a notable name. Okay, somebody that's not going to give you too much challenges, but somebody to have a good name on your on your roster, on your record. Then proceed on to fighting in the summer against at least a top 5 or top 10 level guy, anywhere between Dillian White, a rematch to Joe Joyce, to whomever, Deontay Wilder, whomever, okay? And then proceed on afterwards to potentially get yourself back into position to compete for heavyweight world championship again. All in all, for me, I think the signing between him and Jermaine Franklin, does that delay those plans? Um does it help him along the road? Probably not. Probably in the sense whereby he needs a new trainer, or I think he's got a new trainer in Derek James. The last trainer he had, he got rid of him. The trainer before that, the fight for the first Usyk fight, he got rid of him and all. So now he's with another trainer. So this is the third trainer in 3 fights, and I hope that this guy is here for a long term, here in the long run. Still with Angel Fernandez, to my understanding, but Derek James will be the head trainer to be boxing in Texas, I think, somewhere along those lines. So overall, it is a good matchup, is a decent fight because he can learn the things that he hasn't learned in a while. There was some improvements in the Usyk 2 fight, and he needed to have that little bit of seasoning. But after that, after the display from Robert Garcia, in my opinion, I just genuinely think that maybe personality wise might not be the best option to begin with. But Derek James is a good trainer. We named the trainer of the year. And he will prepare AJ in a very, very effective way. I think AJ, coming off the loss against Usyk 2, was in a bad state of mind. You saw him outside the ring, dropping his belts on the floor. Yeah, his old belts on the floor, shall we say. He went in a bit of a tantrum. So I would have preferred him to fight a lot sooner, I must say. He fought last year, August. I would have preferred him to have fought somebody probably January, actually. Probably January, but not announced the fight in January or February for April. So regardless of that, I think AJ should be able to win. He should be able to defeat this guy in Jermaine Franklin. And in my opinion, I don't think Jermaine Franklin should pose any kind of threat or any kind of queries or worries to Anthony Joshua. So hopefully he wins. Hopefully he gets the job done. It'll be at the O2 Arena, a stadium that AJ has fought in on numerous occasions. What is his last fight at the O2? I think his last fight at the O2 was a while ago. Actually, he fought his early days. At the O2. I think the Dillian fight was Dillian fight. Was that at the Manchester Arena or the O2? I think that was at the O2. But I think since then he hasn't fought at the O2 to my understanding. Someone let me know in the comment section below. I don't think he's fought at the O2 for a while. But regardless of that, April 1st, O2 Arena. Yeah. I'm gonna need a good performance from AJ. I need some confidence because this whatever happened in the last in the last fight, the ending was a bit of a poor ending. Their ending was a poor ending, but regardless of that, I think AJ's he should have it in the bag. If he does not win this fight, I'll be gravely concerned. That's just in my opinion. Big up everyone in the chat. Big up Skyline. Franklin is winning in life, but securing that fight. Absolutely, I think Franklin. One, you know what? With Franklin coming from Michigan and coming from the states where there's not a plethora of top level heavyweights, and not being that big name, that household name. I think the last time he fought was against Dillian, but beforehand he fought on a Clarissa Shields undercard. And we're talking about Clarissa saying things like she needs to put up a profile. Maybe it's just the market for women's boxing isn't as high. If you're boxing on a Clarissa Shields undercard, you can imagine that your name as a heavyweight boxer, it should be an American heavyweight boxer as well. Your name should be massive, but the fact that you're not really well known, it's a bit it's a bit of an injustice. But regardless of that, he secured the bag. What problems would he cause in comparison to AJ's former opponents? I think he's very similar to. Well, he's a crossbreed actually. He's a crossbreed between Andy Ruiz and Kubrat Pulev, and I say this like this. Andy Ruiz, in a sense whereby he doesn't move his feet very fast, but his hand speed is rather quick. It's rather remarkable in terms of the speed of his hands. His combinations and his overall skill is very good. It's very good. When I mean very good, I'm talking about in comparison to just a general professional boxer. Okay, I'm not referencing the top heavyweight, but in general, his skill set is pretty good. Power wise, decent, not great, but decent. I think he tried to throw a couple of good hooks and good shots against Dillian, who's coming off what one knockout loss to Tyson Fury. Regardless of that, his power is not eye opening, shall we say? So in that sense, he reminds me of an Andy Ruiz. But in comparison to Kubrat Pulev, I wouldn't say he's got the fortitude and the stamina to last 12 rounds at the highest level. Despite the fact of him not being well experienced, he's, I partly believe it's because of the weight, because of for me, he's overweight. Because of his weight, towards the back end of the fight, particularly against the Dillian fight, he was just huffing and puffing and slowing down and just, yeah. The stamina is not absolutely like on point. But regardless of that, I think he can cause some level of threat to AJ. I think first few rounds, I think AJ will struggle to get him the hell out of here. So I'm not going to hold my breath for AJ to get a huge knockout. Do I even want AJ to get a huge knockout? I want AJ to build confidence. I want him to look good. I want him to look like he knows what he's doing. And I know that might sound a bit crazy, but in the last, not even in the last fight, but in the first Usyk fight and in the Pulev fight, there was parts of that encounter whereby I looked at him and it didn't look like he knew what he wanted to do. So I think AJ for me needs to look assertive. He needs to look dominant. He needs to not take easy shots. And not run around the ring too much. He needs to be controlled, measured, but aggressive in his approach. Overall, I think AJ should be able to get a win by way of knockout. probably in a similar fashion to the Kubrat Pulev fight, but I want a better performance than that. I need at least a 9 out or a 10 out of 10 performance from AJ, following from his last performance with Usyk, where I would say that was his career best performance till date, from start to finish. I would say that's his career best performance till date. So, irrespective of that, I think AJ could get a win by way of knockout in maybe round 8 or 9, something along those lines. But hopefully we grab a ticket. It's April 1st, or April Fool's Day as well. And I think Tyson Fury versus Usyk potentially will be happening, according to Frank Warren, mentioning it on Talksport. Apparently, that's taking place at the end of the last Saturday of April, which is, to my understanding, I've got it up. Let me get it up here. It's the 29th. So Tyson Fury could be boxed on the 29th of April, but 3-4 weeks after AJ fight, is fighting. But overall, should be able to get the job done. A couple of random little topics that came into past before, because I thought, you know what, let me just make a breaking news cast. Big up Skylander as well. Franklin has one objective, is to give a good account of himself. I didn't expect him to win, but we've seen more wild results. I don't think he's gonna win. I don't think he's gonna. If AJ is at some point, he's not gonna win. My issue is that is if is AJ will AJ be on point? Will AJ be on point? Will Jermaine Franklin be better than his last performance with Dillian? I don't know. Will his conditioning be better? Will his power? Will he sit on his punches a bit more as well? Will he throw more punches to the body or combination punches in general? I don't know. But as far as I'm aware, if AJ is on point, if AJ is doing what he needs to do, I see no reason as to why AJ should have walked away with a knockout win, in my humble opinion. And some people may think AJ's washed. I personally believe that he's got a lot to give in the sport of boxing, and that's just my take on that circumstance. But that is Jimmy Packer versus Anthony Joshua. Breaking news. We also got a bit of some some weird news, some really weird news. Akoli has left Shane McGuigan. So, for context, he's left Matchroom, or parted ways with Matchroom. He parted ways with 258 management, and now he's parted ways with his trainer. For me, right, I don't know why you would part ways with Shane McGuigan to Sugar Hill. It just makes no sense. If you got aspirations and goals to get to the heavyweight division, why would you train with Tyson Fury? That makes no sense. When he clearly could be at a podium for you, firstly, that point makes no sense. Okay. Secondly, you're in the UK and Dubai. Shane McGuigan is like your best option unless you're able to fly out to the States and sit there and train with Sugar Hill. Shane McGuigan is the best option you have. One of the best UK trainers, and I would say probably UK trainer of the year actually. But why? The fact that you go to Sugar Hill, for me, it says one thing. Okay, maybe it's just a narrative. I don't know. But what it does show is that you're happy. Maybe it's because Tyson Fury is. Maybe you don't. You're discontent towards AJ. Maybe it's you're discontent towards AJ. You're discontent towards Eddie Hearn. So you say, you know what? I'm gonna train with Sugar Hill. Yeah, sounds like a good idea. I'm gonna train with Sugar Hill. For me, I don't think that's the wisest option. Hold on, let me just sync myself back up again. But yeah, in general, I don't think that's the wisest option. I think it's a poor choice. What can you learn different from Derek James? Not Derek James. From what's the name again? Completely forgot. Sugar Hill. That you're not going to learn from Shane McGuigan. It just makes no sense. Um, in general, unless you want to do it for a larger percentage and a larger cut. If you're loyal to AJ, you're loyal to Eddie Hearn. What's the likelihood that you're going to train with Tyson Fury's coach? Pretty slim. It is pretty slim. So the fact that you're training with Tyson Fury's coach, it's it's an alarming factor. It's very alarming. Why? Why did Shane break up with him, or did you break up with Shane? That's another question that I'd like to ask. Because shit, like that whole partnership was the best thing for Okoli. Shane McGuigan, the best trainer from the UK, Eddie Han, the best trainer in the UK, and 258 Management, one of the best management companies in the UK. Why would you leave that? Ma- I understand you want to do your own thing. You want to start your own management company. I get it. Sky Sports offer you the deal. I somewhat understand because of, more money, more popularity. I get that point. But why leave Shane McGuigan? That's the point where I'm just like, I, I don't know. It's a bit more sinister. That's just my take. It's I'm just getting a sinister approach personally, and many people may disagree with me. It is what it is. I disagree. Obviously, I disagree with your colleague issue. He should not be joined at the hip of aging. Anyway, I think the Sugar Hill beef will make Okoli a more exciting style and bring more explosive knockouts. That's the thing. My opinion is this: what, like, in the fight that he had with what was that fight? What was the fight? Okay, in his fight that he had with Shane McGuigan of the last 2-3 years, I would say he's been very aggressive. I'd say he's been very aggressive. In fact, I would go as far as to say, just think I back up again. I would just go as far as to say that Shane McGuigan was teaching him how to be even more aggressive than what he originally was. Because originally he was a slow, sluggish fighter that really, really put us to sleep. Let's just say that. Now he's in a position whereby he's knocking people out. He's being a little bit more excited. He's putting out music videos and stuff like that. Leaving your head trainer makes no sense to me. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. But overall, disappointed with Okoli leaving Shane McGuigan and then joining forces with Sugar Hill, as if Sugar Hill's going to teach you anything different to what Shane McGuigan is. Personally, I just think is a I just see it as no point. I just see it's absolute no point. And I think the fact that you're leaving one of the best trainers in the UK, you're leaving one of the best promotional companies in the world, and you're leaving the best management company in the UK. You have to be in a position that of 100% certainty that it's all going to work out, because the backing and pull that you had behind you previously was a force to be reckoned with. That three combination was it's very difficult to find better out there. And why would you find better out there unless they messed up? But if 258 messed up, I can understand. And if Eddie messed up with you, I get it. You have dispute with Eddie. But leaving your trainer at this point in time, I don't know. I don't know. And also, your trainer trains fighters that are with Sky Sports. Even more reason to stay with him. Even more reason to stay with him. I know he's out there in Dubai, but what happens when there's a Tyson Fury camp? Really, what really happens when it's a Tyson Fury camp? What, you're gonna be with Tyson Fury the whole time, or you're just going to be what, waiting for Sugar Hill to just give you your 5-10 minutes? It's pointless, man. Come on, man. Well, that's just my 2 cents on the Coley issue. Another slight issue before we talk about some breaking news in terms of, well, it's not breaking news actually. It's been announced for a couple of days, but and that's the heavyweight fight. But beforehand, let's talk about my man Joshua Buatsi is a free agent. This one, I'm gonna have to drink some water for this. Hold on. Yeah, this one. Let me set up as well. This, fam. Again, he's a free agent, but has he left 258 as well? Have they all just joined forces with Okoli and just doing their own thing? Now, how has this come about? Josh Buatsi is a fighter that wanted to compete for the heavyweight, well, for the light heavyweight, sorry, world championship of the world. Okay, he's the top light heavyweight. He wants to compete for the light heavyweight title. He wanted to compete against Dimitri Bivol, and the issue is this: Eddie Hearn works for Dimitri Bivol, and he works for Canelo Alvarez. His job is to get the best from all of his fighters. That cannot happen if you train two fighters on two different sides of the coin. You've got Bivol, who's looking to fight Canelo Alvarez and looking to fight Peterbiev. Okay, you've got Josh Buatsi, who wants to fight Bivol. Bivol couldn't really care less about fighting Buatsi, but it's really Buatsi that's chasing him down, of course, because he's got the belt. For Eddie Hearn, in his expansion, in his it is in his overreach, it is ability to go to different territories from Australia to the US to New Zealand to Mexico to Canada. I don't think it's in Canada yet, but to go to many territories around the world, the US, etc. He's got to let some fighters go because you can't provide a level of focus and attention to them that, in my opinion, they deserve and they need. There needs to be somebody like an Oscar De La Hoya or somebody just in White's corner that's just going to push him or push him or push him to help him get to a world title. Okay, not somebody like an Eddie Hearn just keeping you on the sidelines, keeping you on the bench, and waiting, and just waiting when you get the next opportunity, and not really giving two tosses about it. He was supposed to fight Vlasov. He pulled out from the Vlasov fight with an injury. That fight didn't get rescheduled. He then was supposed to fight, I think, some guy, what's his name? Top five light heavyweight, but he keep failing in a drug test. I forgot his name. But that fight was a mandatory for a world title fight. I think it's for a final eliminator for an interim title or a mandatory slot. But that fell through as well because Jean Pascal, I think fell through on the basis that there's no VADA testing. Fair enough. Fight Craig. Now what? Now what? He's part of the. I think he's slowly creeping into the Who Needs Him club. Really slowly creeping into the Who Needs Him club. And for me, Joshua Buatsi, if I was him, I'll get like a. I'll side maybe with Frank Warren. And I know to many people, Frank Warren might not be the best option in terms of promotional, etc. But if you want a title fight, Frank's your man. Frank will get you a world title fight. In fact, he got Anthony Yard, a fighter who, on paper, isn't well experienced and isn't hasn't competed against the best names in the division on numerous occasions, and got him to two world title fights in Kovalev and got him to another one in Peterbiev as of last week. So the fact that Frank Warren can do that whilst Anthony Yard is in a mandatory position, Joshua Buatsi can definitely do it. Easily do it. Okay. He just needs a little bit of support, he needs a little bit of focus and attention, and that's it. On Eddie, he needs to start focusing on the UK again. Because this is becoming neglectful. If you focused on international, it's gonna get to a point whereby you're growing all of these guys in multiple different markets, but you're not really growing the UK. You're not really growing the UK. And the UK will be overrun and overtaken. And you can have every other territory around the world, but not the UK. But the promised land, the potential is here, in the UK, because I think we won the most medals, to my understanding, or the most gold medals in the Olympics, last Olympics, the Tokyo Olympics. So clearly the talent is in the UK. The pool of talent is in the UK. But the fact that Eddie is doing his own thing and running around the world looking for names in multiple different territories. Are you looking for talent or are you looking for name value? Do you understand? But overall, I think Buatsi needs help and he needs a love, man. Hopefully he doesn't break up with Virgil Hunter. There is some level of improvement between his last couple of fights with Bolotniks and Craig Richards. So I want to see him with Virgil Hazard, but I need to see him active. I need to see him active, not this inactivity nonsense, in my opinion. Um, but overall, Joshua Buatsi and Eddie Hearn for me is not working in the best interest of Joshua Buatsi. Joshua Buatsi needs to be a lot more active, and he needs to demand more. Demand more. Put yourself out there even more than you are currently. I understand the humble approach. I understand the church going man, but you need to market yourself a bit more. Because right now, I don't know if you're training in the States and it's making you the forgotten man, or you just want to focus on your craft. But right now, you're literally en route to the Who Needs Him club, and that's a club that you do not want to enter. Because once you're in that club, there are drugs are in that club, and a bag of other men in that club, Michael Hunter, etc. Once you're in that club, it's like it's like a life sentence. It's very difficult to come out of it. Very difficult to come out of it. Okay, unless you just get a manager position for a world title, and then you have an amazing fight, and you get the knockout, etc. It's very difficult to come out of that club. It's like the friend zone, if you know what I mean. I don't know. I don't know what it feels like, but anyway, last but not least, before we get into it, and most of thank you for all of you guys for tuning in as well. If you haven't done already, click the subscribe button and like the video. On your way in, it helps out considerably. We've got last bit of announcement: Joe Joyce versus Zhilei Zhang has been agreed. It has been announced for April the 15th in London. Joe Joyce, and this is why I'm just thinking to myself, Eddie is not delivering. So really and truly, Frank is stepping up. Every time Eddie takes his eye off the ball, Frank is there to intercept. Eddie should have made AJ against Zhang in China. That would have been my preference. Instead, he made Franklin in London. And you know who made Zhang? Frank Warren and Joe Joyce. That to me is a better fight than AJ versus Franklin. And it's from a promoter that doesn't have his fingers in multiple different pots, doesn't have his eye in multiple different territories around the world. So he gets to focus and apply his attention to the small crop of fighters that he's got under his roster, not the hundreds or thousands or whatever that Eddie deals with. You could have so many fighters, but you can't provide them the care and attention that they need to get the best out of their career. If you're in multiple different territories, you're having multiple different fights on numerous cards, and one fighter says, has one injury and they're left to the wind. Okay, we can't be having that anymore. Zhang versus Joe Joyce, for me, it's a good fight. Okay, Joe Joyce for me is the overwhelming favorite. His work rate, athleticism is gonna what is literally the kryptonite to how to beat a Zhang. Okay, Joe Joyce could literally just stick behind the jab for 12 rounds and win against Zhang in that way, shape, or form. The likelihood of him getting a knockout early doors is a bit unlikely, but there is a possibility that he could get a knockout against Zhang in round number 6 or 7, where he's just gonna wear him down. Similar approach to the Joseph Parker, wear him down, throw a lot of punches each round, but particularly stay behind the world class jab, and therefore where the Chinese heavyweight down and take him into depths that he doesn't want to come under, and then proceed to knocking him out. Good fight. Yeah, do you know what? April the 1st is AJ. 2 weeks later is Joe Joyce. Another 2 weeks later is Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk for the undisputed. Fingers crossed. So April is the month for heavyweights. April is really the month for heavyweights, and I do hope that those fights all happen at the exact, in the time order that I mentioned, and we get some cracker announcements over the next couple of weeks. Deontay Wilder is set to announce his next opponent as well. We have Joe Joyce, not Joe Joyce, Tyson Fury set to announce against Alexander Usyk and the time and the date, the date that they're gonna fight, and the venue. Who else has got to announce themselves? Dillian has really got announced himself as well. Andrew Ruiz too. I think Andrew Ruiz is fighting John T. Wilder, if I'm not mistaken. Well, we need some fights to be announced and to really get started in 2023, because January was at, apart from a couple of do you know what, the Misfits card was good. The other card last week with, well, the fight with AY Pretoria was good. The card was rubbish. But after that, it was been a poor January. FYI, I will be doing a watch along early hours of Sunday morning for the Serrano versus Cruz fight. So tune into Off the Campus Box. Tune into Off the Campus Box YouTube channel for that. Smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. This has been a quick announcement. AJ will be boxing Jermaine Franklin April the 1st. And it's not an April Fool's joke. This is the real deal. April 1st, Jermaine Franklin versus Anthony Joshua. I will be doing a watch along for that fight unless I get invited there, over there. And if I get invited over there, you lot can see that I'm not here. But anyway, big up to all you guys in the comment section below. I will. It's about half an hour to the Chelsea game. Hopefully we bag 3 points from here. Mudrick and Nathan are going to be on split. But anyway, peace, love, and prosperity, guys. And I'm going to catch you in the next video. Peace.